Hello my friends, it's been 2 years ago, this September 21st, that I won the Guinness World Record for the fastest motorized wheelbarrow in the world. I just verified on the website that I am still the current record holder. With that in mind, I thought I should finally tell you the whole story. The why I did it, the how. So just sit back, enjoy a sarsaparilla, whatever, and enjoy the story of determination against overwhelming odds. This story is the story of how I became the Guinness World Record holder for the fastest motorized wheelbarrow in the world. I've always been a curious person, an inventor. Yes, I've blown up a few things. I drove my remote control lawnmower right up a street sign. That was pretty funny. But the funniest thing that I've ever done was to build a ride-on wheelbarrow. Yes, one you could ride on. It started shortly after I retired at the ripe old age of 67. After retirement, I immediately found out that I hated the boredom that came with that. I've always been a person on the go, always wanting to do something, so this really hit me hard. I have a really nice shop out in the backyard, so I began spending a lot of time out there. I originally built a remote control battery operated lawnmower. It was pretty cool. It was the first thing I ever really invented here. I wanted to improve on it, so I thought about adding a wheelbarrow on top of it as an optional attachment. This would operate remotely, just like everything else on it. It would operate remotely to dump whatever you had in there. This is a lot of work filling this up, but the rest of it's all I have to do now. With my newly invented remote control battery operated wheelbarrow with remote dumping, and right here she sits. So I thought that'd be kind of cool to add that on there. So I picked two wheelbarrows, the actual wheelbarrows. So I had a choice of which one I was going to use on that. So I had one left over, of course, and it was just sitting around the shop. And I hate things sitting around the shop. I'm either going to use it or throw it away. So really began to annoy me every time I'd walk by it, what to do with it. So anyway, it got in my head I wanted to build a ride-on wheelbarrow. I know, I come up with some of the silliest things, but anyway, I said, well, I want to do it. So the first process was, designing it. So I kind of sketched it out on a piece of paper, what I wanted it to look like. And then I wanted I wanted it to be pretty light, because I knew I was going to be using battery power, so I wanted it as light as possible. So most everything on it is aluminum. I have aluminum 1-inch bars for the hand rake. There's a 2-inch angle aluminum underneath of it. So yeah, almost everything on it is aluminum. So anyway, I designed it to where I could sit behind it and hold the wheelbarrow. Of course, I wanted to be able to tilt it, so I put a pivot on it and a place to put the batteries. The motor, the electric motor I got was a 48 volt DC motor. So I wanted to get two 12 volt batteries in series would be the 48 volt. So I needed 2 batteries. So I mounted them on the very front, in front of you. And then before I knew it, I had invented the wheelbarrow that you could ride around town. Actually, I just drove it around my neighborhood where all the neighbors thought I was nuts. My initial idea, of course, as I said, was the electric. This wheelbarrow was, like I said, 48 volt DC motor, 2 12 volt batteries wired in series. I was proud of myself for doing that. I really was. But honestly, it didn't go very fast. So I decided to swap out the electric motor after all that work I put into getting it in there and mounting it. But after that, I decided to go ahead and switch it out to gas. So I picked up a Predator 212 at Harbor Freight and stuck it on the wheelbarrow. Now, of course, I had to add a gasoline engine. Made me concerned about the speeds and the wind dynamics, so I also added some wheelie bars to it. But eventually I took those off, but I made them easy to put back on in the event they were needed. Then I test drove it. Okay, so I test drove it up and down the street, and I had a lot of fun with it just on my street. But of course I couldn't go very fast. So, but anyway, at that point I was wondering how fast it could go. How fast can you get this wheelbarrow to go was the question I asked. I needed to find out. So the first thing I did was I wondered if there was a Guinness World Record for how fast it could go, and looked it up, and sure enough there was one. It was 47 miles an hour. Some guy, I think it was in the UK, had that record. So next I needed to find a way that I could see how fast it really could go, because like I said, I'm on a dead end. So I started calling around to different places to see if I could take it out there. Newton Speedway, I called them, and they never did return my calls. Probably thought I was some nutcase. I sent them emails, and again, no response. I even went out there one time and asked to speak to the manager of the track, and he was busy. Can I leave him a message? Sure. So I'm sure he's probably got the message, but he probably thought, nah, you're not going to ride that thing here. So anyway, then I thought, well, where am I going to take it? The next thought that came to my mind was Eddyville Drag Strip down in Eddyville, Iowa. And I thought, well, I don't know of taking the wheelbarrow on a drag strip, but hey, I'm game. So I called down there and spoke to the manager of Eddy Drag Strip, and his name was Gerald. just like the others, he was baffled by what I was actually asking him. But I think the curiosity got the better of him, so he told me to call his tech, Randy, and see what he says. So then I called Rand, or not Randy, Rand. My bad, his name was Rand. I then called Rand after he stopped laughing. He asked me to send him a picture, so I did. Rand was the guy that inspected all the vehicles before they got on the drag strip, so he had to okay it. He said, well, he would need to see this vehicle in real life before he could really make a judgment call off of a picture. So he said that on Fridays they have test and tune runs, which means you can almost run anything, just to find out how fast it'll go. But he said, so you can come on out, let me look it over, and we'll go from there. So I and the white genie drug it down there, and I went to find him, and he come back, and it was, his first look at that, and it was like, what? And this is the wheelbarrow, huh? So yeah. All I'm trying to do here is see if I can break the Guinness record. That's all I want to do. And he's like, and you think it'll go that fast? I go, well, I don't know. I aim to find out. So well, all right, go ahead. You can run it. I was like, okay, wow, I got a place to run it. And the thing here is that at least, I know how fast it'll really go. So I was all down for that. So, yep, said, I'll see you on the track. So picture this. Lots of drag cars, sprint cars, all you hear of these Hemi engine stuff all over the place. And here I am with this little bitty lawnmower engine. It was real impressive, but I'm sure that other drivers thought, what the heck?
Go get him something. Run me over.
So anyway, I got up to the Christmas tree. And of course, the lights were all red, thankfully. Pulled up there, and they got me lined up. And I look over, and the stands, the people in the stands are seeing me, and I don't know, they go from, what is this? And taking pictures and laughing and pointing. And, all I could think about was, wow, what if this failed? What if it's a real laughing thing? I don't have any idea how fast this thing's going to go. No, I don't have idea at all. So, but I'm sitting there at the Christmas lights, my hand on the throttle, and and I said people in the stand laughing, all that. But I was so nervous. I'm standing there, the red lights, I'm waiting for them to turn green, and I know that at that point, I got to get on it. And they did. The lights changed green, and I was off. I opened it up as far as she would go, wide open. It sounded pretty badass going down the track. Just remember, though, it was only a lawnmower engine, but you could hear that thing crackle. Right down the road. That was, it was a really nice, smooth ride, too. Of course, it is a drag strip, so you would expect it's pretty smooth, but, it was almost like I was on air. All I could hear was the engine behind me going down. It was really awesome. I loved it. So I got around and stopped at the time shack to get my time card. And when I got it, it said 47 miles an hour. 47 miles an hour in the 8th mile track. I was like, that is badass, you know. Anyway, that was the first time I had ever had it out. Had no idea what it was going to do. So over the next few weeks, I found a set of sprockets to change out the gear ratio. I began using premium gas, and I went back out to Eddyville track. This time, I got it up to 52.7 miles an hour. Well, it wasn't a Guinness record, but, you know, I knew I could break the record at that point. 52 miles an hour in a wheelbarrow. That's crazy stuff right there, and you can't make that up. So, anyway, after that, I had to figure out another way to pick it up. I knew I could go ahead and change the sprockets out a little bit, but when I had it going down the track, I thought it kind of was wide open. I mean, I don't know that the engine had any more give in it. So I got hold of this guy named Bill at Rykins Racings in Marion, Iowa. Asked him if he could look that engine over and, you know, pep it up a little bit for me. And I told him what I was going to do at Guinness Records. What? I mean, but anyway, yeah, I don't know if he thought I had a chance or not, but I mean, he did build the engine. He did quite a bit of stuff for me. He changed out the cam, the lifters, a new carburetor, removed the governor. Yeah, the governor was on it when I had it out there at Eddyville. So, so yep, he removed the governor. So the next problem was twofold, though. I need to find a place with a longer track than Eddyville, because I know that's another thing that kind of hurt. According to Guinness, the record is not how fast you can go in an 8th mile. This particular record was open-ended. So how fast can you go, period. So I needed to find a place that I could go faster, you know, maybe a half-mile track or something. And then I also needed to find someone who had a gun, a radar gun, that did kilometers per hour, because that's, according to Guinness rules, you got to do it in kilometers. So for the first problem, I started calling airfields, because the other guy that won before me, he actually did his at an airfield in Wales, I believe it was. So, you know, I called around some of our airports, and like Des Moines Airport said no way, FAA regulations. Ankeny Airport said the same things, and then there was another airport, Knoxville's, and said the same thing. So, but I had a second problem. I stopped down to Iowa State Patrol down the street here to see if they had anything that would do light, you know, kilometers per hour, and they said no, we don't have anything like that. So then after that, I went up to the sheriff's, you know, just up the street here, and got the same answer. No, they don't have anything that does kilometers. So I thought, man, that's going to be a problem. I called some baseball clubs here in the Des Moines area, asked it, because, you know, baseballs, you know, they probably clock the ball, I don't know in what, but I never got an answer back from the two baseball clubs I sent emails to. So and I stopped down to our local Des Moines Police Department, and he never did really get back to me. So anyway, I'm really striking out on getting something that does kilometers per hour. And then, of course, I still have no place to do it. So it's like, is it time to hang up this idea now? I mean, nothing to do it with, no place to do it. I'm kind of, you know, really getting a real big problem here. But I'm not the kind of person that believes in stopping or slowing down. Unfortunately, I got one gear and it's forward. So I thought about it, and I thought, well, I had seen a event that was blocked off some streets and was having a party. And it gave me the idea, well, I wonder if I couldn't, close down a highway or a street or something to do it. So I knew there was a place just over the hill from us. The area looked really straight and level, and it looked like it was probably a half a mile or so. So I went to Polk County to see if I could, close down that street for, a day. And they said, yeah, you can probably do that. And after I told her what I wanted to use it for, she thought it was really funny. But anyway, she says that she actually thought she had a better street to close down where I'd have more room and stuff like that. I'm open to suggestions. So she called me, I think it was the next day, and said, yeah, I found a place I'd like to have you take a look at. It was a few miles north of Mitchellville, Iowa. It wasn't too far from here. I think it's like 20 minutes. So I drove out there and took a look around, and I liked it. It was a really nice straight track. There was plenty of room and plenty of length. I'll bet it was probably a mile. So I thought, okay, yeah, that'll be perfect. So I got back to her and said, can we tentatively put that down for the place to go? I just don't have a date yet. She goes, okay, I'll just keep it in records until you're ready to commit to it. Okay. So now what about the radar or the LiDAR gun? I got a place to do this, so I got to figure out how to find somebody with a LiDAR gun, to do kilometers. So, I started looking around on eBay for the radar guns to see about buying one myself. At this point, I was so far into this, I wasn't going to let nothing stop me, So I was looking on eBay to buy a gun, and there was one that I found on eBay, and the owner said, the businessman said that he could convert it to kilometers per hour, and if I bought the gun. I said, well, you really can. Yeah, it's just a firmware change, and otherwise the gun works perfect for you. He says, okay. So I bought the gun with that firmware. I got the gun back and started looking it over, and of course I have no idea what a radar gun's supposed to do. I turned it on. I kind of played with a couple buttons. I don't know. It worked.
So I just got my LiDAR gun in the mail. UPS just brought it. I have no idea what's going on with it. I just got it. I can tell you this, it's in a pretty solid case, so that's pretty impressive. I don't know, this is Plano, I don't know, Plano, Texas, I don't know. No idea. Wow. Operation manual, huh? It's in styrofoam and all that. I don't know what. There's some pieces missing or what. There's a hole there. I don't know what this is all about, but it says this is a charger. Looks like this might be the battery, I guess. Maybe. No idea. Okay. So it looks like this plugs into here. Yeah, who needs instructions? I got this. Oh geez, this is a little heavy. Stalker LiDAR LR. So looks like this goes in here somehow. I must go in there like this. Oh, there you go. Alright. Power. Ooh, it lights up. Alright, how fast are you going? I don't know. 2.7, I don't know what that is. Huh. Speed, range, panel light, audio, test. I pushed the test button. Now what? Ah, I said, ooh, pass. Something said it passes. Huh. I don't know. So what do you think if I stood out in the street with this thing? Do you think anybody would? Oh, there's a little viewing thing there too, and a little red dot. I don't know if you can see that, but up here the little viewfinder, there's a little red dot. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I don't know what this other stuff is all for, but...
So anyway, as I said, I had a guy in the sheriff department. His name was Sergeant Martin, who had said that he would help me out if I, could find a gun. So I called him back. I told him I had a LiDAR gun that I just bought, and I asked him if he could, kind of take a look at it and make sure everything's working good on it and that it would do kilometers. I don't know what I'm looking at. He said, yeah, sure, bring it on over and I'll take a look at it and let you know. So I dropped it off at his office, and the next day he called me and said, yep, it works perfect. He said he's already verified it, and so I was like, wow. So yeah, I told him that if he would do the event for me, that I would give him the LiDAR gun, for doing the event. And he's like, excellent, excellent. So, so then, all right, at this point, I have the place to do it. I had the LiDAR gun to do it, and the person who said he would do it. All right, but now there's another problem. I needed to find insurance, according to the Sergeant Martin, the guy who's going to be hosting this. Said, oh, crap. I mean... So where do you go to get insurance on a motorized wheelbarrow? I mean, I don't know that I could look in the yellow pages for it. So I first thing I did, of course, was I called my insurance company and asked if he could do it. And he laughs. Well, I'll sure give it a try. Give me a day or two and I'll call you back. So, yep, a couple days later he called me back and said that he could get the insurance for me. Just let him know when. Okay, so now I've got all the pieces to put together. I had the place to do it. I had the gun and the sheriff to do it. And I have insurance to do it. Hey, there's nothing else I need. Well, I did have to submit it to Guinness. So I had it submitted, and I just didn't have a date on it yet to Guinness. So then I figured out the date. It would be September 21st, 2024. So now it was official. Guinness knew about it. I made some publications, I think, and threw around different places. I don't know, but anyway, September 21st, 2024, which was a Saturday, north of Mitchellville, Iowa. So it was like, wow, this is going to happen. So I made up a flyer. Oh, well, and also I wanted to say, so the event, I knew when I was going to do it, and then I ended up having to rent some barricades to block off the area. But then, so come the morning, which was a Saturday, my my grandsons were here, and they took the barricades off and put the barricades up at the end of the street. And then all we had to do was, and then the band showed up. I'd hired a band, a local band, and they were pretty good. I also wanted to make a fundraiser for this event. I wanted to fundraise for really support Wounded Warriors. The Wounded Warriors Project. I mean, they really help out a lot of veterans, and you just can't help them out enough. You really can't. So I wanted to dedicate the event to Wounded Warriors. I had some little poker chips made up. And I said, if you donate anything to this jar for Wounded Warriors, you get this poker chip for free, a memorial poker chip to show the event. And so, yeah, we made quite a bit of money for Wounded Warriors that day, too. I mean, there was a lot of people gave to it. So anyway, so for the event, like I said, we showed up. Then there was like 3 of the local news organizations that showed up, and also a well-known YouTuber, and of course several friends and family. I mean, it was overwhelming almost. I mean, I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, I certainly did. So, you know, everything was ready. Everybody was there. The TV channels were there, and had been talking to a couple people. And so the first thing that happened was, well, of course, I had to put this, fire suit on and wear a helmet and other stuff, for safety, for the run. And I started up the Predator 212, and it just sat there and hummed, boom, 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 boom. I mean, for a little lawnmower engine, it sounded pretty badass, I'm saying. So I was sitting there. We had determined, so we had to make 3 runs, and then they averaged out. Anyway, so we started down at the other end, and then the sheriff, he told us that he was ready, and I was ready. I was sitting there, and then, it was lights on. I'm out of here. So I opened it up as fast as I could go, and then, we're about halfway down, I felt the chain pop off.
There is the world's fastest potential wheelbarrow, I guess. And we have the sheriff being the official with the radar gun down there.
So I coasted to the end where everybody was, and I grabbed my tool. I mean, I know what it was. I mean, when I had a chain tensioner on it, and I didn't have much pressure on. I mean, I hadn't been going very fast, so I really tightened it up, quite a bit more. Went down to the other end and headed back this way again, and second time the chain went off. So it's like, well, I really tightened down that. I got the chain back on. I tightened down the tensioner very hard. Went down to the end of the track, and this time it was a win. I mean, I had it open all the way down. The chain didn't come off. It was perfect.
John Mothry, first attempt at the motorized wheelbarrow.
And so I turned around and I came back and talked to the sheriff. So how did I do? He goes, well, there, John, let me put it this way, I could give you a speeding ticket. The speed limit there is 55, of course, at that time. And so, yep, I beat that, which was cool. I mean, that was a cool way to tell me that I won, but yeah. So I think the first one that I did was 56 miles an hour. It said 90 kilometers per hour. So, so then the next time I did it, it was the other direction. Like I said, I had to do it the other direction. Was 56.9 miles an hour. And then, of course, the last one was also 91.667 kilometers per hour.
I hear acceleration.
So, so anyway, so now all I had to do was get all the proof together, submit the records to Guinness, statements from the TV, the broadcaster was there, the sworn testimony from the sheriff about the reliability of the gun, all kinds of other stuff. I mean, you know, I could have saved myself a little money on that. They said if I would hire a Guinness judge, you know, that whole thing there, that I wouldn't have to worry about any of this. Like, really, how much? I said, oh, only $12,000. What? No, thank you. I'll do it on my own. But anyway, so for $12,000, I wouldn't have to have done any of this, but just win. But you know what? Having to do all this other stuff, though, adds a whole lot of element to it. The extra steps that I had to take just to do this, I mean, it was a lot of work, but I mean, it was a lot of work that I had to do for Guinness. I'm not sure I'll ever try another Guinness event because, I mean, I enjoyed my part doing the wheelbarrow and all that, but the proof, all the different, you know, different proof that I needed and all the people's testimonies, and I don't know. But anyway, it was fun. I did enjoy that I did it.